Hey, what's up YouTube? You're at the We All Juggle Knives channel. Welcome to my review of this multi-tool, sold as the Skagele multi-tool, also sold under the brand Kingmax, and probably a lot of other brands. This tool was $17, available on Amazon. I will include links in the text description box if you want to pick one up. The claim to fame of this multi-tool, as you see there, they've tried to incorporate a fire steel into the multi-tool itself. It's always interesting when they try to do that. All right, what does it have? It's got a one-handed opening blade, at least if you use your right hand. It does lock with a liner lock, and that is a combo edge. Yeah, boo, combo edge. No, just kidding. I'll give it a chance. All right, it's got some pliers, typical multi-tool pliers it's got some wire cutters there. We'll test those out. All right, here is the fire steel. It does hold it in. It's also a whistle. It's pretty small. So you see that indentation there? That basically fits onto that there, and that's what keeps it from falling out of your multi-tool. Yeah, we'll definitely test that out. It's got a file with a screwdriver end on it, and these other tools do not lock. It's got a bottle opener that's a little hard to get out. All right, they list it as a can opener, but we shall see. And it's got a screwdriver end on that as well. It's got some scissors, which are spring-loaded, so to speak. Appear to be based on Fiskars scissors. And it's got a monster cutting hook, which they refer to as the rope cutter. All right, we'll test that out. And there's a Phillips on the other side, which takes an adapter for the bit kit. This came with a belt pouch, has a belt loop there, has a snap button closure. So this comes with a bit kit and an adapter, which the pouch also holds that. That fits over the Phillips. You got 9 bits, which is 3 Phillips, 3 flatheads, and 3 Allen drivers. Okay, let's test this out. These are my quick fire starters. I normally don't use any type of little fire starter like that. Those are made from Q-tips and petroleum jelly. But I'm going to use them because this is a very small fire steel, right? It just, it just doesn't it makes sparks, but you'll see. It makes some sparks, but just not a very large amount of big sparks, as you might imagine. But nonetheless, the fire starters work really well. So it can make sparks, but, it's more of a backup, right? Or a last resort, like emergency thing. You don't want to rely on like a tiny little fire steel. And plus it'll wear out quickly. So you just want to use it as a backup or a backup to a backup type thing. But it does make sparks, and this comes with a large pouch. I would just put some tinder in the pouch and a striker to make it easy on yourself. All right, next up is doing stuff with the knife blade. So you see they went with combo edge. I think they just wanted to say that it has one more function. They wanted to be able to say, it's got serrated blade and plain edge, but I think it would have made more sense to just go full plain edge, especially if you're doing like a bushcraft multi-tool with a fire steel on it. Just pretty much all bushcraft knives are plain edge, right? So sometimes you end up using a different section of the edge than you normally would because those serrations get in the way of certain basic cuts. There I am making some V notches. So it did come sharp enough to whittle with. Now I tried both the serrations and the plain edge on paracord, as well as the nylon strap material you see there. All right, so that was it on the wood. Right, but anyway, what I found out is that the plain edge part works way better. Even like, people say, oh, you're supposed to be able to saw through stuff with the serrations. But if they were good serrations, then yes. But I found that the plain edge worked better on the stuff that serrations are supposed to work well on. Okay, the whistle. Turn the volume up to the normal level. So here's the whistle. All right, here's the hook. This is a monster cutting hook. It actually worked well. It's interesting. This cutting hook is ground on both sides. A lot of cutting hooks are only going to be ground on one side, or basically chisel ground. So that actually adds an extra step. Alright, so the cutting hook went through the paracord, although you do have to apply some force. And there it is through the seatbelt-like material. Alright, here's the pliers now. Thing you gotta know, they're spring-loaded, and that's as wide as they open. Alright, so it's going to be limited on what you can get those around. I'd say one main use of the pliers would be like reaching in with the needle nose part, like when I snap off a blade from my utility knife. Look how short those wire cutters are. They do work on easy wire like that, on soft wire, but if you had to cut thicker wire, because they are unusually short, you definitely wouldn't cut it, with just one cut, So limited wire cutters. Alright, here are the scissors. They remind me of Fiskars scissors, which are not the best. And they can cut paper. But that's pretty much the only good thing I can say about these scissors. Now, I don't know what paper you're necessarily going to be cutting out in the bush. I'd much rather have scissors that could cut some cordage. But there you go on the paper, but you can see these are flat, like they're not ground. There's no edge on these. They cut just because of, the two sharp angles, but I mean, if you were to compare these to Victorinox scissors, there's just a massive difference. Here it is on paracord. Now I'm having to be careful because basically if you try to force it, you're going to push the pivot apart, and then if you do that, it won't even be able to cut paper. But I tried it towards the pivot as well as towards the tips, and the scissors, at least on mine, they're only capable of cutting paper, so I would give them a D. If they couldn't cut anything, I'd give them an F. If they can only cut paper, I'd give those a D. Alright, here's the file. Alright, so filing on that, it's a little hard because I'm basically hugging the tripod and trying not to actually, hit my camera and mess it up, but the file. Alright, so you see that shiny part on the nail? That is where it filed. Alright, so you can file that. I'm sure it's not like hardened, so. But yeah, here's the file on the fire steel. It can make sparks if you don't have a striker, but a dedicated striker works way better. Now, they had this listed as a can opener, but note, it has no edge. It is flat, just like their frickin' scissors. Alright, so I think they just meant bottle opener, so it actually works perfectly as a bottle opener. That's some hard cider. So yeah, I don't know about can opener, but bottle opener, yeah. If you want to use it as a can opener, I'd suggest sharpening the part that's supposed to pierce a can. Alright, and this bit kit. So as I said, the adapter is supposed to fit over that Phillips because, it's basically square. But the thing is, it kind of wobbles. I don't know, I think they could have. See, it kind of wobbles, but it's usable. Now, one of those Phillips bits just happens to fit a screw that holds the handle on my Kershaw Camp 12. So, yeah, there's the bit kit. I mean, it does add value to this tool. Look, the tool was only $17, so it's cool. It comes with a little bit kit, and it did work. All right, so final thoughts. Stare into the fire. Final thoughts on this multi-tool. The same problem with any multi-tool that tries to fit a fire steel into the handle. It has to be small, right? Check out size comparison. Look, the fire steel I normally use, not only is it way bigger than this fire steel, it's longer at least than the entire multi-tool, right? So that fire steel I use is 6 inches long essentially. And a full size or XL size, look at this difference, and look at all the sparks that makes lighting some birch bark. So what I'm saying to you is that the multi-tool fire steel is definitely like a second string, like backup. Totally, as long as you understand it's a backup. It's just like for emergencies only, then it's fine. Now, if you want to pick up one of those fire steels that I just showed, I will include a link to it in the text description box. I have the square one. They also have a round one. So yeah, there will be a master list of recommended fire steels and other fire kits and devices in the text box. Check those out. Alright, so final thoughts on this tool though. Well, there are no bad tools, there's only bad pricing. So the question is the pricing here appropriate? Well, I count the bit kit as worth a couple dollars, so you're getting the tool itself for about $15. Well, in this case, the quality of the multi-tool is relatively low, but the price is also very low, so that matches up nicely actually, so I do feel that pricing is appropriate. I feel like I did get about $15 worth of tool. In this case, you get what you pay for, but you're not really getting much more than that. Even $25 would be too much for this multi-tool in my opinion. So basically, if anything about this multi-tool interests you or speaks to you, it is so cheap, sure, go ahead and buy it. Amazon has a no frills, no questions asked return policy, so there's literally zero risk. However, one thing you should know, the same frame that this multi-tool uses is also used as the basis for numerous other multi-tools with different tool sets. The other ones do not have the fire steel, but they have maybe tool sets you might like better. For example, some of them have a plain-edged blade, some of them have a wood saw, right? So in the text description box, I will list all the relatives of this multi-tool that use the same frame but have different tool sets on them, and you can check those out. Some of those might serve you better. But these days, there are a lot of good budget multi-tools out there. Here's a few examples, right? If you don't care about having a fire steel necessarily stuck onto your multi-tool, then you might want to check out some of these. I mean, you've got Gerber's budget line, you've got Ganzo, you've got Nextool, you've got Bibury, you've got Grand Way. Here's a few more examples. Now, don't worry, I'm going to have a full list in the text description box. It will be my budget multi-tools list, which I'm always adding new things to it, so it's always being updated. And if somebody overprices one of these, I delete it from the frickin' list, okay? Yeah, so that'll be in the text box under budget multi-tool list. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have found it useful. Please try to use the links. They do help support the channel. I really appreciate all who have contributed to me being able to be here and do this for you. All right, this has been We All Juggle Knives and Multi-Tools. I'm out.